Good morning, Grinders. Hey, welcome to the DFS pregame show, the show where we go over last night's results, see exactly why we lost, because most of the time we lose, and then look at today's slate just for a first look. It's only 5 games, but news happens, and whatever I say right now may not even apply 5 hours from now, so we can just go over some basic strategy. I'm Jordan Cooper, a.k.a. Blender Ed, a.k.a. Blender HD, a.k.a. throw whatever thing up on the screen. Devin's here doing the production, so it makes it so much easier. I don't have to worry about anything. But I'm here filling in for Kyle. I know he's on the thumbnail for the YouTube image, right? I'm not Kyle. I'm much less attractive than that guy that's on the thumbnail. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm filling in. I don't know what's going on. So I just got up myself. This is actually my second cup of coffee. Okay. But there's not much left, but I still want to keep it warm. So you know what to do in order to keep my coffee warm during the course of the show. That's hitting the thumbs up button. That thumbs up. If you want it to be called, hit the thumbs down button. I don't think it matters either way to YouTube, but you hit the thumbs up. And that does something. Your players do well if you hit the thumbs up button or you subscribe to the channel. That would be great. But we got YouTube chat here. Post your questions, anything you want to talk about. I mean, it's all in the YouTube chat. We got the Shaky Jake here, Seth A here, Steve Anthony here, Anchor Malhotra here. We got a bunch of people in the YouTube chat. So as I go through stuff, I'll be looking in the chat, answering your questions, anything that comes up. Strategy-wise, picks, plays. Who knows what's happening today, right? I'm looking at DeRozan. Is he out? Is he probably not going to play? Well, does that mean that is it Lonnie Walker day? It's going to be one of those guards, right? One of those guards is going to go off Forbes or Mills or White. It's going to be one of those guys, and you're not going to know which one it is. So that I think that's the main thing on this slate. But looking at yesterday's results. For a 9-game slate, you'd figure 9 games. Oh, okay. Now you have a lot of choices. Well, based on the news that happened yesterday, it really condensed your choices. A very chalky 9-game slate last night. We had Giannis had a baby, right? I mean, his wife had a baby. He didn't have a baby, but so he was out. So that obviously opens up all the Bucks value. Then we had Ibaka. Like close to lock, like an hour before. Like Ibaka was going to be chalk in and of himself if he played, right? Lowry was improbable, and then Ibaka's out, and now that raises, okay, now we start talking about RHJ, Chris Boucher, then Siakam and Lowry become better plays. I mean, because the usage goes away. The usage goes around because Ibaka's gone. And then we had underpriced Oladipo, for I know he's on a 28-minute limit, but still 4,200 on DraftKings was too cheap. So, I mean, a lot of the lineups we saw, even in the large field GPPs, were pretty chalky, right? It just came to where did you get your leverage? How many of a certain team did you play? Like I had a lot of good lineups in GPPs yesterday, other than the fact that I limited my team exposure to only 2 per team. So that locked me out of having Lowry, Anunoby, and Siakam together, or RHJ. I had 2 of those guys. I had a lot of OG Anunoby yesterday, put up 55 fantasy points. The problem is that I limited myself to 2 Raptors, and I also limited myself to 2 Bucks. So I didn't have much Bledsoe Middleton together. I had some Lopez Middleton. I had some Ilyasova Bledsoe. I had some DiVincenzo. So it just so happened that more than 2 players from Raptors and Bucks were viable for GPP winning lineups, and I didn't make those constructions. But I mean, I had 2 of them. I mean, I still had great lineups, just that I tried to get more leverage by just not playing so many chalky guys from the same team together. That's what I was trying. It turns out that everyone got there. Okay, it happens. Cash I did well, so that's fine. So looking through, I always bring up the difference. The alley-oop is the $5.55 contest. The fadeaway is the $15, the main 150 max contest. And the and one is the $1.20 max contest. And time again, I mean, look at this. look at the difference in RHJ's ownership, right? What you would consider to be the latest, the second latest news. We'll get to another piece of news. Because we knew that Ibaka was out, right? At what, 6 o'clock? I mean, like an hour before lock or so. So you knew that like 34 minutes at center were like up in the air. It just depending on who was it going to go to, RHJ or Boucher, or what the minute split was. Towns, I mean, you figure that you're gonna have to run a true center. You can't really have Siakam on Towns for that long. And then like 3 minutes, 4 minutes before lock, the starters were announced for the Raptors, and RHJ was going to get the start. Didn't mean that Boucher couldn't have gotten more minutes off the bench. It didn't mean anything. But the late news, most people assumed Boucher would get the start. So we see in the AND 1, the $1 tournament, 28% ownership. Across the board, about even. But obviously with the news, the late news that RHJ was starting and not Boucher, the higher stakes players were able to react to the news. I mean, or did. I mean, actually did do it more than the lower stakes players. So if you were playing low stakes last night and you saw RHJ was in the starting lineup, you should have slammed him because you're going to get a big leverage premium on the lower stakes players. And then we take a look at like guys like Ilyasova. You know, I mean, these are Giannis news was early enough that people reacted in time. But another thing I'm interested in seeing this. Check Diallo. Okay, check Diallo. Ayton was like, I thought that he was going to play, but then it came out at like 9 p.m. or so that Ayton was doubtful. They have no bodies up front. I mean, they have the Kaminsky's out, Baines is out, Saric is out. I mean, they have no one. So Czech had to play. He was 3,100. Higher stakes players. Late swap. I mean, you would have to think this is all late swap, right? But look at the difference. In the N1, he was less than 2% owned. How fewer people late swap in lower stakes? Take advantage of it, lower stakes players, right? So this is what I look through. This is what I do every day. I'm looking through stuff. So going into the YouTube chat, and we have a lot of new people here. I'm great to see. Tony Tischhauser, Hauser's 42. Yeah, I saw you were in the Discord, right? We were hanging out. We always hang out in the Discord, the premium Discord on RotoGrinders in the NBA channel. We hang out all the time. Talk straight. Yesterday, I was like doing like a math lesson for like 2 hours. Hopefully, people were understanding it about expected value. If you want to be a part of it, you just have to sign up for RotoGrinders Premium, right? You get all of this. You get all the projections. You get lineup HQ. You get core plays. You get the grind down. You get the situation room. You get Slate IQ. You get everything. And we have a community of thousands of people in our premium Discord. I mean, not all of them are active, but I mean, we have active channels that are regularly ongoing, most of the time tilting during the games. It's just $40 a month. RotoGrinders.com/premium. I think it's a no-brainer. If you're playing every day, right? If you're actually trying to make money, I mean, it's an investment to me. Like $40 a month. They should RotoGrinders should be charging like 5 times that amount, but they don't. So take advantage of it. Okay, let's see. In the chat, Eric Johnson says yesterday sucked. If you were a contrarian player, yesterday sucked. Okay, I get that. Okay, you played a lot of contrarian lineups. You didn't do well yesterday. Anchor Malhotra said Booker cost you $100K. Okay, it happens. I Booker and it didn't work out. Depot didn't go so well. Yeah, I mean, imagine if the news didn't happen. Oladipo would have been even chalkier than he was, right? I mean, he got enough. He got 22 points for 4,200. It isn't going to win you a GPP. He was fine in cash games, but it's a prime spot to fade. I was under the field on Victor Oladipo. Was Oubre playing too good? No. Well, Oubre, we found out after the game that Oubre missed the team bus. Okay, we found out after the game. So it's not like he was playing off the bench because, like, for matchup reasons. I think it was just a disciplinary reason. And Shaky Jake says, I have 2 daughters that are under 2 years old, so I don't always have time to late swap anyway. Then play on FanDuel. FanDuel, you don't have to worry about it, right? No one can take advantage of you on FanDuel. Once everything's locked, it's locked. But if you're going to play on DraftKings and I'm telling you, the better players, if there's news that happens afterward, if they're optimizing to get bad lineups into min cash positions, they're doing it because you could late swap on DraftKings. So if you don't have the time, you're giving up so much edge to people on DraftKings that do it. So you should play on FanDuel then, or Fantasy Draft, right? They don't have late swap. So do that. I mean, if anything, if you're in a situation where past 7 o'clock, you can't really, you're done, you can't do it, it's family time or whatever, just play on FanDuel. That's fine. Perfectly fine. Okay, so I mean, I'm looking at this for the first time, right? Kyle disappeared. I mean, do we need to put Kyle's face on a milk carton somewhere? Do we have to? I don't know where he went. I'm filling in for him. I just kind of just rolled out of bed. Okay, I guess so. Let's do the show. Anything interesting? I'm just scrolling now. I like looking at the colors. Trae Young, back to back. Did anyone play him? Jimmy Butler. We can take a look at this. Same thing. Late swap. Look at Jimmy Butler. Higher stakes, lower stakes. Butler was questionable. Who knows? Right. 1.81% in the lower stakes because of the late swap. Right. Even with guys like Clarkson, Ingles, not many people. I guess about even. Because we got Conley was sitting, right? We got that news. I'm just looking through, seeing who paid the rake, right? All these guys down here, Marquise Chris, 5% owned in the lower stakes. I don't know why he was a play. Seth Curry did well. So, but you see a lot of these 1-2% guys. You go why did people play these guys? Why was Duncan Robinson owned 6% in the $1 and one? I don't know. T.J. Warren was 5% in the there were so many better plays for that. I mean, you can play them. Yes, I get it. Look at Ibaka. Ibaka was 1 point. There. Here's part of your rake. Ibaka, 1.7%. There you go. Right? Was Giannis owned? Let's see. I mean, that news. Look, even 0.27%. Yeah, there's part of your rake, right? 0.27%. Who else was out? Who else was out yesterday? The Ibaka, Giannis, Conley. Was Conley owned? Conley in the $1 and one was 2% owned. Okay, we could add up all these things. Right, in the and one, you're probably playing somewhere around 15% rate. I'm telling you, on a 99 basis, when there's news that guys are out, that effective rate goes down because of those deadlines. I wish I could play in this contest. I can't. I'm over 1 million in lifetime entries. I can't play these contests. I wish I can. They're soft. I mean, yeah, you're still aiming for first. It takes a long time to realize your expected value in these contests, but when people say that the rake is high, it's really not. When you can count so many dead lineups in the contest, the rake is probably lower on the $1 and one than it is on the $15 fadeaway, because you have the 150 maxers that aren't making mistakes. So let's take a look at yesterday's. The winning lineup was Slow Queen. Apparently, he won by 12 points. But take a look at this lineup. This is a lineup that I could have had. See, these are the things that piss me off just a little. I had every player on this lineup in my player pool, and I have a very small player pool when I play GPPs. I had 28 players in my player pool. I had all these players in my player pool. I could have made this lineup was possible for me to make outside of groups. So he played from the Raptors. He played 4 Raptors: Lowry, Anunoby, RHJ, and Siakam. The two main Bucks, De'Aaron Fox and Damian Lee. I had tons of De'Aaron Fox plus 2 Bucks. I had 2 Raptors. I had 30% Damian Lee. Right? I played a bunch of Damian Lee. I had a bunch of I had 40% Anunoby. So how did I not get this lineup? Well, because I was limited. I wasn't playing 4 Raptors in one lineup. Had I opened up and just said, screw it, play as many Raptors as I want, I could have gotten this lineup, right? Those are the things. But I mean, I'm more pissed off when the lineup is something I is within my rules. If this was a lineup where it was 2 Bucks and 2 Raptors and Damian Lee and someone else that I had in my pool, then it's a little bit upsetting. I just managed to not create that lineup. This one, at least I know. It's like, okay, I wasn't going to play 4 Raptors in a lineup. And it just so happened they all got there. Okay. I couldn't have made it with my group rules. I couldn't have made it. So taking a look at ownership, let's take a look. Let's look at Slow Queens 150. I'm just going to grab, I didn't have time to prepare who I should point out, but let's grab a couple of people. Let's a red coat did well up over here. Let's grab him. Let's grab Ending. Let's grab, let's see, Mr. Good Seats, pretty good. Papa Gates. Tyrannosaurus Flex. So let's do that. Let's put that on full screen. This is, hey, I'm studying players. This is how I do it. Like a lot of times before the show, I go and cherry pick the ones that I want to show and see, what we could talk about. This I'm just doing in real time. This is what I would literally do when I'm just like, okay, let's see what these guys did. Let's see how they did. Okay, so I sort by field. And I see, look at you could just see automatically with the red. Tyrannosaurus Flex just said, give me all the Middleton, give me all the Bledsoe, and give me all the RHJ. I want all my lineups like that. And then no Boucher, right? Most people did one or the other, right? Even we see right here, Ending kind of a more type of balanced build. But more people, when Boucher didn't start, they lowered. And they went very heavy on RHJ. And you see here with Oladipo, Tyrannosaurus Rex went under. But a lot of people, according to these numbers, about even with the field. A little under. So, Oladipo was 51% in the fadeaway. But, it's not it's like you still needed a shooting guard. You still needed some type of 4K shooting guard. That's why I had, a lot of Damian Lee. Or I had Anunoby in the small forward spot at that price or something like that. Just shooting guard really wasn't that strong of a position. You had to use a Fournier or a Ross or something like that. So Oladipo still rated out as point per dollar wise, just probably the best play in that spot. So it's just whatever he fits in. So I get that. Ilyasova, kind of the same thing. Are you really going to find, without knowing the Diallo news, who else are you going to play? You're going to play Giannis is out. Christian Wood's ownership went down. He put up a dud game. He got into foul trouble. So we see here. And how did people treat Fox? Most people, if you notice, Fox appeared, this is how I built my lineups. Fox was in Bucks lineups. That made the most sense. You wouldn't fade Bledsoe and Middleton and then play De'Aaron Fox in that lineup with no Bucks, right? That doesn't make any, for Fox to play 35 minutes, the game is going to be close, and the Bucks are without Giannis. So why you playing Fox in a lineup by himself? So that's why you see here, anyone that has a lot of Fox ownership also has a lot of Bucks ownership. It makes sense. I had a lot of Jokic. He actually salvaged his score because Vooch, his ownership went down throughout the day, but he ended up with a good game, 52. But let's take a look at Slow Queen. Went way over on Lowry. I did the same. Donovan Mitchell. So he's trying to fill these guard. He's trying to pay up at guard. Butler, 10% on a late swap, probably. Jalen Brunson, yeah. He was trying to fill that guard spot. So, if we take a look, Bledsoe he had in the guard spot. Played a lot of power forward center for Siakam. Obviously, RHJ in another power forward center spot. Small, power forward center is Ilyasova. So he still needed to play a bunch of Oladipo. But he was able to play some Booker, some Reggie Jackson even, some Fournier. So, he was trying to get more leveraged in the guard spots than in the power forward or center spots. And I think we see the same here with Redcoat. Very similar. Played a bunch of Bielitsa, which I did also. But he still had some Mitchell. So very similar. Dinwiddie, 10%. We see down here. Bogdan Bogdanovic, 7%. So also very similar leverage strategy. He's still going to end up playing a bunch of Oladipo, but getting different at guard. He played a bunch of Fox, but still playing the primary culprits. Then we take a look at Mr. Good Seats, and pretty much Middleton, Bledsoe, Ilyasova was in every line, practically, right? Together. Then we got some Siakam and some RHJ. So, and then Fox. Like that, very chalky build right there. And then tried to get different with some Booker, some Jokic, some Dante DiVincenzo, some Fournier, Reggie Jackson, Brooke Lopez, Rudy Gobert at 11%, Jimmy Butler 20% on a late swap at 3% owned. Right? Mostly Mr. Good Seats, pretty much a chalk construction. And the leverage came in one or two other spots. Papa Gates, it's pretty similar also. Right? You take a look at this, you see Dante, a lot of leverage, direct leverage, 56%. Karl Anthony Towns, 30. There you go. Here's the leverage spot. An 8% owned Cat. A 7% owned Bielitsa, right? What was his Fox ownership? So yeah, so he's playing a lot of Fox, Bielitsa in lineups with like where the Bucks are, the Bledsoe, the Middletons, that type of thing. So this is what I look at. Of course, I just randomly picked up like just 6. I would go through every day personally. I do this. So like this is as a player. I've been doing this for 4.5 years. I do this every day. Studying top players, not the winning lineup. The great players that are profitable long-term. They may not have had a good night last night, but I'm essentially wanting to make similar decisions, strategic decisions, not who to play. Oh, where did they get leverage? Where did they get different? How is their constructions going? So, like, I just brought up 6 players, but I mean, I could go through 20 others. And this is what I do. I spend at least 15 minutes every morning. My mornings are typically later. They're right around now. I sleep in most of the time. And I go see, and I see, like, what did they do? What did I do? Where did they find leverage? Where did I find leverage? And go, okay, that was interesting. Like, if you take a look at OG Anunoby, like, we got 3 guys that really just, like, fit, I guess. And then 3 that kind of made a little bit more of a reaction. But, I mean, I had 40% OG Anunoby yesterday. I thought that was 2 things. One, if Siakam's going to be popular and Hollis Jefferson's going to be popular and Lowry wasn't. Like, OG was sitting there at 3,900 and there's going to be usage. Why not take it? And then you take a look and the small forward position is like, I mean, let's go by small forward, right? We go to small forward. Where am I getting? I can't even get that here. So let's go. Where's this? Small forward ownership. Small forward ownership. Like everything's going. I'm not just getting small, I'm getting power forward also. But look, small forward was Middleton. And then what? LeBron? Like look at the ownership, the average ownership at small forward. Either you were putting Middleton in, paying up for LeBron, and then you go, and then now you're in OG Anunoby, Aaron Gordon. Now you're in just in everything is like 5% owned. Right? I mean, I'm not getting this. Aaron, right. If you didn't play Middleton or LeBron, who's only 15% on aggregate across these contests, everyone was like 10% owned. So that's why I looked at it and go, well, unless I'm lock buttoning Middleton, I got to play some of these small forwards, and they're going to be under owned, and that's what I did. I thought that was the best place to go. I mean, because you knew that Middleton was going to be in the small forward slot in most lineups. It doesn't mean you don't play Middleton. It means you could play Middleton at small forward and then another small forward at your forward, the utility forward spot. So it didn't prevent you from playing Middleton if you were playing Anunoby. But let's say you were playing lineups that didn't have Middleton in it. I mean, you got to take a small forward, right? You got to take one of these guys. So that's why I had Damian Lee. That's why I had some of these guys. And I only chose very few of them. So I had to have a lot. I had to have 30% Damian Lee. I had to have 30% Fournier. I had to have 25% Terrence Ross. I had to have 40% Anunoby. I had to, because either that or I play 10 small forwards and just hope the right ones in the right lineup. I just said, let me get like 4 or 5 and that's it. And then I'll be probably 5 times the field, more of that. And if those are the guys that do well, then I put myself in a position to win. rather than just spread it out and just, two. Like I didn't see a point to that. It's like, if these are the 5 guys that I think are the best spots, the best projections. Let me just use them. Okay, looking back at the chat. Thumbs up, like, right? My coffee. Let's check the coffee. Nope, lukewarm. You're not doing a good job, people. My coffee is pretty much cold because of you. Because you haven't hit the thumbs up button. You haven't hit it, right? We got 31 likes. Get out of here. Come on. That's why it's cold. It got cold much quicker than I thought it would. So when you hit the thumbs up button, the coffee gets warmer. I don't think it'll get warmer. I don't think physics works that way. Okay. So I think we're going to talk about today's slate. People are going through the chat. Let's see. Ben Witt is here. Justin Sports, Showtime 87. People are, is he going to talk about today? What does it matter? I just talk about strategy. Today, you can do whatever you want. Play whoever you want, right? That's what I say. You can play whoever you want. So I'm going to bring up lineup HQ. This is premium, by the way. All these projections, we got some preliminary ownership. This is all preliminary, right? Who knows what's going to happen, right? Is DeMar DeRozan playing? I mean, like, do we have official word that he's not playing? We're treating him as if he's out. Okay, so these projections are based on if he's out. So I'm going by our great projections team and our news reporting team and our situation room injury reporting team. We got great people here at Archie. I let them. That's their core competency. Let them do it. I'll look at the numbers. So according to them, DDR is out, or at least we're treating him as he's out, which means one of these subsidiary guards for the Spurs at under 4K is going to be in a GPP winning lineup. Like, which one is it going to be? Who knows? I mean, we take a look at the Spurs. Obviously, if Lonnie Walker gets to start again at 3K, obviously he's going to be the highest owned guy. I mean, it's him and LaMarcus Aldridge, 6,700. With DeMar DeRozan off the court, his usage and he goes up. Dejounte Murray played like 34 minutes last night. Does that mean he plays 30 plus minutes tonight? Who knows? But then we got like the Bryn Forbes, the Derek Whites, the Patty Mills, the Marco Bellinellis. I mean, like any of these guys, any of them. Bryn Forbes. I mean, and it could be a Patty Mills day, right? It could be. Maybe it's a Rudy Gay day. I mean, look at these prices. We got like, there's only LaMarcus Aldridge is 6,700, Dejounte Murray's 5,200, and then everyone's 4K or below. Like, they're going to play minutes, but who knows what these minutes are? Look at these minutes. Who knows? It could be this, it could be that, it could be whatever. I mean, who knows? Who knows what it is? So taking a shot, I mean, in GPP, I view it as if we see Lonnie Walker's ownership going up to like the 40, 50% level on a 5-game slate, I'm more inclined to be under on that and just like take shots and just go, okay, I'm playing Patty Mills instead. I'm playing something else than that. Because Lonnie Walker could put up 18 fantasy points and still not be on the winning GPP line. But I mean, if the ownership is going to condense around one of these guys, I'm not talking about Aldridge. I'm talking about the cheaper guys. If it's going to coalesce around Lonnie Walker while Patty Mills has 2% ownership or Derek White has 3% ownership, I'll easily play Mills or White over Walker in a lineup for large field GPPs. I'm not talking about cash games. Or maybe Lonnie Walker doesn't get to start. Oh no, maybe Rudy Gay starts. Who knows with Pop? We have no idea. What time is this game? Great, it's an hour after lock. We may not even know. Oh, people are hitting the like button. Apparently, I guess people like talking about today's slate than yesterday's slate. You learn more by looking at yesterday's slate. Trust me. That's how I got better. Right? I was a RotoGrinders subscriber 4.5 years ago. You know how I became a good DFS player? By just obsessively studying the best players. And you figure it out from there. So looking back at the chat, Douglas Seller says, wanted to say quick thanks for all you do. My strategy has completely changed after watching your videos. My pool is between 25 to 40 each night, and I'm consistently cashing. Thank you. Oh, good. Good for you, Douglas. Hopefully you're not cashing above me, right? I mean, ultimately, I'm playing against you. Unless you're playing in the lower stakes stuff. But yes, I mean, I want to help you, but maybe not so much that you're beating me. Maybe. So I'll take first, you take second. That's perfectly fine with me. Let's see. Seth A, I know everyone will kill me, but can you show how you integrate a Bulls Wizards stack into the rest of your line? Oh yeah, no, we'll go over that. Yeah, that's something I could touch on. I do stacks, but then I have difficult with strategy. Integrate those groups into the rest of your line. Okay, no, I'll show you how I would set it up. Okay, I will. Are you likely to avoid a chalky Rocco against Boston? Doesn't seem like a great spot for him at that ownership. I don't know what I'm going to do with you. Like, I have a feeling, like, we take a look at, let's sort by RGB. Like, I think Levine is going to be chalky. LMA is going to be chalky. Like, playing Westbrook, if Westbrook is under 20% on a 5-game slate, I'm more interested in him. Let's take a look at these Boston guys. What do the initial projections have on these Boston guys? Because they're all healthy now. Yeah, even like Tatum, some of these percentages, like they all have negative values, but they're going to be like so low owned. It's a 5-game slate to have a guy like Tatum or Walker or Hayward. I know the pricing isn't great, but to have them on a 5-game slate be sub 10% owned in a game that has like a 230 total, right? Something like that. Why not? Why not take a shot? They don't rate out. Okay, I agree. They don't rate out as good plays from a median perspective. But if Tatum put up 60 points this game, you wouldn't be shocked. Kemba, if he put up 55 points this game, you wouldn't be shocked. Is it the average result? No, it's not. But, I mean, you're not going to win GPPs with an average result. But if people are going to start stacking this first game, this Bulls-Wizards game, I'm looking for ways to get different. Walsh just asks, do you build lineups by hand? I do build my mid-stakes and single-entry lineups by hand, typically. It depends on how many lineups I'm playing. Some nights I may only play 5 lineups and hand build them. Some nights I play 80 lineups and I use lineup HQ and I multi-enter. Sometimes I do a mix of both. Sometimes I play 80 lineups multi-entry, but I also like hand build 3 for like the $44 whatever type of thing. But typically, I'm programming lineup HQ to do like it's building my lineups the way I would hand build them anyway, right? That's really what you're doing with an optimizer. Like it's just a dumb calculator, right? It's just looking at it, and until you tell it what to do, it's just going to build like the highest median build. Like it's going to build you a bunch of cash lineups, essentially, right? Some really good cash lineups that don't have enough leverage to really win a large field GPP. So you have to tell it what to do. So like people are asking. Like someone asked about the Chicago Bulls Wizards thing. Okay, so let's go to that game. Okay, so I'm going to take a look at Chicago's side. Okay, start by RGV. So obviously, it's Levine, Young, Satoransky. They come in our initial projections, right? This could change. Levine, Young, and Satoransky come up as positive plus minus plays with the highest smash percentages and good point per dollar. Okay. Do I want to play all 3 in a lineup? Possibly. Do I? I don't think so. Maybe I want to set up a 2-1. Okay? So here, this is what we do. I'll show you in lineup HQ. Okay, I want to play these 3 guys. Okay? Levine, Young, Satoransky. So I'm going to go in. I'm not going to change any of this. I'm showing you what you can do in lineup HQ. So this is kind of almost an advertisement, right? If you like this type of stuff, if you like strategy and like how to actually play DFS, hit that thumbs up button. I mean, this is what we do at 11 in the morning Eastern. Yeah, 5:20, right? For the Grinders live show. Who to play, all that type of stuff. Yeah, because we know a lot more then. So feel free to watch that on YouTube later. So I'm going to set this up. Okay, Levine, Young, Satoransky. Let's say I don't want to play more than 2. Okay, just for argument's sake. Let's say I'm going to go to Washington. Who's good at Washington? Let's say we get Beal, Bertans, and Smith. Currently in our projections are the only plus players. So Beal, Bertans, and Smith. Let's say I don't want to play more than 2 of them. Okay. Okay. Let's just say. Okay. Beal, Smith, and Bertans. Okay. So this is what I'm doing. If you take a look at the group, I'm saying here's the 3 players in the group. Players to use, minimum 0, which is like none of them. Maximum 2. So I can't get all 3. I could get Beal Smith. I could get Beal Bertans. I could get Smith Bertans. But I can't get all 3 in the same lineup. Okay? So I'm going to take all 3. Same thing for the Bulls. But now you want to stack. Now you want 2 1s, right? You want to do the 2-1. I said on the morning grind, if you listen to the morning grind with Stevie, that if I'm making 2 1s, most likely, doesn't mean you can't play them both together. I'm more likely to not play Beal and Levine in the same lineup together because they're both expensive and they limit my options in the other games to take players. So I may only want to play Beal with the cheaper guys. So let's say I want to set up a stack. I'm going to set Beal as a conditional player. So use group only in lineups that contain Bradley Beal. And I'm going to put in Young and Satoransky because I don't want to play Levine in those lineups. The players to use. In the lineups that contain Bradley Beal, I want to use exactly these 2 players, right? So I want to set up. Let's say I want it to be a 2-1 or I want it to be a 1-1. So it's use at least one of these. So it could be Beal with Young, Beal with Satoransky, or Beal with both. And now I'm going to do that on the other side with Levine. So I'm going to do Zach Levine. I'm going to set up a 1-2 with Smith and Bertans. Okay. The I'm just going to set these on 2s to make it obvious to show you. So any lineups that contain Beal will have these 2 players. And every lineup that contains Zach Levine has these 2 players. But Beal, let's say I make sure that Bradley Beal and Levine are not in any other lineups together, right? So I'm setting up a group, min 0, max 1, Bradley Beal, Zach Levine. So there you go. I set up, can't have more than 2 of each of the guys on each side of the games. Make sure that I have the cheaper 2 for Beal lineups, the cheaper 2 for Levine lineups, and then no lineups that have both of them together. So let's say I'm going to go to my player pool now. Okay. Obviously, it has a lot of other people. I'm just going to set some minimums just so we get some lineups. So let's say 20, just so I'm just putting in just basic. I wouldn't do it this way, but just to force ownership. I want at least 20% of these players, just in general. And then just have the lineup, just fill in whatever. Okay? So let's say I'm going to build 50 lineups. I don't know. 49. But the slider didn't go all the way. It didn't all go all the way to 50. So this should show those types of lineups. I don't know what's in the rest of the lineup. Okay, so we have a well, I mean, it's going to try to jam in everything else over here. Okay, so let's go to okay, we got Bertans, we got Ish Smith. Okay, here no, those are too cheap okay, let's take a look at where's my Beal? Where's my Beal? Where's my Levine? Okay, here's my Levine lineups. Okay, so here are my Levine lineups. Levine, Young with Smith and Bertans. Smith, Bertans, Levine. Levine, Smith. You're going to get Smith, Bertans in every Levine lineup. Smith, Bertans. And then we go and we look at the Bradley Beal lineups. Bradley Beal with Satoransky and Young. Bradley Beal, with Satoransky and Young, right? All your Bradley Beal lineups will have Satoransky and Young in it, as well as, with other lineups also as well. Now consider doing that. Look, I made 5 groups that accomplishes that. Let's say you want to make a group that has, the Spurs. Let's say you don't want to play Walker, Forbes, Mills, and White. Maybe even Dejounte Murray. Let's say you're like one of these guys, right? We're looking at this. One of the I don't know which one it's going to be, but one of these guys is going to have a big game, right? I don't know which one. And you don't want to play more than one in the lineup. So there you go. You got easy players to use, at most one player. Let's say, for instance, you want to make sure that one of these guys is going off, but you don't know which one. So you're going to play, you're going to force one of these guys into every lineup you make. There you go. 1-1. And let's say maybe you don't want to play Murray and Aldridge together for whatever reason. Murray has a big game. Maybe Aldridge doesn't get as much usage. Okay, so you're making sure Murray and Aldridge aren't the same lineups. Okay, so now I'm making one where I'm using, I still have the groups for my Wizards and my Bulls, but I'm going to I want to make sure to use all of these guys. Now, here's the interesting part. You have a rule that says use one and only one. But depending on how many lineups you make, it's going to, if your range of outcomes is 0. So it's going to try to jam in the best play. It's going to try to jam in as much Walker as it can get, right? You said to use one, but the likelihood with Derek White being a low point per dollar, he's not going to come up much. So the only way that you could get as much of other guys is either adding exposure to them or just capping. What I do, I cap the guys that I know Lonnie Walker is going to be shoved into a lot of lineups. So let's say I want to max 50%. Forbes is going to be the next one to get shoved in. So maybe I max him at 25%. Right? Because remember, this total of all these cheap guys like Mills, White, is going to be 100% because I'm forcing in one of them in every lineup. So Murray, let's say I put it at, let's say I put Lonnie Walker at 40, put Bryn Forbes at 20, 40, 20, 60, 70, Patty Mills at 15, and Derek White at 15 or something like that. Right? Maybe I up the Murray and I put there. So it kind of adds up to 100, right? Something like that. Maximum 40, 20, 60, 90, 100-ish. Right? Do something like that. Right? I don't even need to cap any of like the lower ones. I really don't even need to cap because it's going to do it automatically. So let's build 50 lineups and look like that. So we shouldn't see as much Lonnie Walker, and we should see some of the other guys here with our Bulls, Wizards type of stacks, 2 1s, 2 2s, those types of things. That's what we should see. Okay, so let's take a look at our exposures over here. Right, still got a ton of Aldridge and Covington because we didn't do anything with them. Right, we still got our Bertans, Smith, Levine lineups. We still got our Beal, Satoransky, Young lineups. But now we have Lonnie Walker, look, 40%. Bryn Forbes, 20%. Dejounte Murray, 16. Patty Mills, 16. Derek White, 8. So it's close enough. Right? So you see here, Lonnie Walker, Aldridge. Right? Like we take a look at our Zach LaVine lineups, we see what? LaVine, Young, Smith, Bertans. There's our 2-2 Washington, Chicago game stack. But we also have our Walker, Aldridge, one of the cheapy guys from the Spurs, and Aldridge, and then Covington, Harden. That's a lineup. We look right here, Smith, Bertans, LaVine. There's our game stack. We got Walker, Aldridge, and then we got Whiteside, McCollum, Williamson, which is also a 2-1 as well. That just happened to be in there. So you scroll down. I mean, we look at these Zach LaVine lineups, and then let's take a look at the Bradley Beal lineups. Bradley Beal, where are you? There we go. Bradley Beal lineups. Right, we got some one-off Dejounte Murray, Lonnie Walker, Bryn Forbes. So, take a look at this. You got Beal with Satoransky, Young, your game stack. Aldridge, Forbes. You got Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson, which probably I'd end up grouping them out. And then you got Covington as a utility. Okay, so you got your game stack, you got your correlation, you got your cheap Spurs guy, you got your chalk Aldridge, and there you go. This is how you use. But if you understand what I'm talking about by a strategy, I'm not going by the project, give me the best projected median lineups. They're all cash. I'm gonna have to get leverage and correlation somehow because even the ownership percentages on some of these lineups are a little too high. I'd still want to get a little bit more leverage for a large field GPP. But if you notice, I'm making the groups based on a strategy. I could be playing Beal and Levine together, but that would change the lineup constructions. So I'm saying how I'm approaching this slate is I want to make, I'm not saying this is what I will do, but I'm like, this is you could come up with any of these. You could say I want to make 2-1s of the Clippers Sixers game if you want. I want to make 1-1s of Boston Houston. I want to make 2-2s of Portland. I want to play McCollum, Anthony, and Drew Holiday and Derek Favors. Like, yeah, you could do that too. But how you would set that up. So that's why I'm showing you the player groups. I'm devising a strategy first. And then I'm plugging in, how do I accomplish that and make this lineup builder build those types of lineups? So I don't get Lonnie Walker and Bryn Forbes in the same lineup. I don't get that I make sure that in my Levine lineups, I got 2 Wizards. That I make sure in my Beal lineups, I got 2 Bulls. That I make sure that that in my Spurs lineups, I don't have Murray and Aldridge together. Like, I made a choice on that. Like I said yesterday, I made a choice to not play more than 2 Raptors in a lineup. Turns out they all got there. So if I didn't make that choice, maybe I get a lineup that would have won a GPP. But I decided strategically to make that choice to gain more leverage and not play like a lot of these chalky Raptors and chalky Bucks all together. I played a little bit more contrarian. That was a choice I made. I did well last night, but not as well as I could have without making that choice. By making no choices, like, what do you expect? You got to make some choices. That's why we see when we take a look at studying people, like, look, they're making choice. They're not like, they're just saying, like, if Middleton has a bad game, then they just lose. Like, that's it. Right? They're saying, I'm just going to play 16% Joe Ingles. And if he doesn't do well, oh, well. Those lineups don't be Bielitz at 32%. Just making a choice. What did they see in Bielitz? So who knows? He's a power forward that is an Ilyasova, right? He went a little under an Ilyasova, under on Boucher. Right? He was playing the other guys. Under on Siakam. So he's going to need a power forward to get leverage. He made a choice. He did that. That's what you do. Looking back at chat, I'm glad to see all the new faces and everyone participating in chat, even if you're talking amongst yourselves. That's fine. If Walker's starting, he's going to be chalky for sure. Absolutely, Walker will be chalky. The way LMA has been playing, if he's high owned, I'm fading. I just understand he's 6,700 on DraftKings and it's only a 5-game slate. So, like, at some point you need raw point. I mean, at some point, like, if you're not playing Aldridge, I still think you should play someone on the Spurs. They're all cheap. Do you think the Spurs are only going to score like 50 points today? I mean, they can score enough. You just have to figure out where the hell it goes. Boston, Houston probably going to go small. No reason to play Tice or Cantor. I agree with that. Most likely, right? Maybe it doesn't. Maybe Hartenstein play. Who knows? Who knows what happens? Dame or Westbrook, DK. I've said on the morning grind, Damian Lillard is not worth 10,000 in DraftKings. From an average perspective, yes, he can have big games. But with everyone healthy in the Trailblazers, Lillard is a 9K player at best on DraftKings. So, I mean, yeah, he could get 80 points. Sure, yes, you're right. He could shoot 3-pointers from the halfway court. Yeah, you're right. He can. I'm just more bet on the fact that he doesn't. We got, Melo and Zion. Like that seems like a matchup made in heaven, but let's see what the ownership comes in on that. Any other questions? Put it in the YouTube chat. The show's almost over. The pregame show. Jaylen Brown said he's playing tonight. Yeah, like on FanDuel, the Celtics are much more appealing on FanDuel at their prices than on DraftKings. But I think that it's going to prevent ownership on DraftKings. I don't see myself playing more than one Celtic on DraftKings in a line at their prices. But the game, it has a 232 total, a 2-point spread. It's quite possible. You're right. It's quite possible none of the Celtics hit a ceiling, but one of them can, and they're going to be so low owned. Like if you're playing Westbrook in a lineup, play Walker, play Tatum, play Hayward, play someone. Play Jaylen Brown. Who cares? Play someone. Zach LaVine is going to be like a 50% owned on a 5-game slate. Like I'll take a shot on a 7% owned Kemba Walker. Don't tell me that LaVine has like a 4, 5, 6 times more likelihood of outscoring Kemba Walker, because that's not true. Walsh just asks, do you also put your cash lineups in a GPP? Not really. It depends on the lineup. Like when it's a really, really chalky lineup, I don't put it in anything. Like I'll put a triple up, sure, maybe Kintz or something. But if ownership is spread out enough, I will oftentimes put my cash lineup in like a small field GPP, like under 1,000. So like a $20 3 max, that type of thing. Not in a big field one. You just don't have enough leverage. Your EV isn't there to do it. If your cash lineup in wins solo wins a first place in a 30,000 GPP, you're probably just not a good cash player. Can you show how to make a cash lineup? How many high-owned guys do you use and where do you get cash? You don't care about leverage. Remember, cash lineups are meant for double ups, right? Double ups, 50-50s, those types of things. If you're in 100-man 50-50, you just have coming in 50th place pays you the same amount as coming in first. So you don't need leverage. You just need to come up in the top half of the field. So there's no need for leverage. There's no, what leverage do you need to get? The difference between every point that you score that's higher than the cash line is worthless to you. It's worthless, right? If the cash line in a double up tonight is 280 and you score and your cash line has 350 points, those extra 70 points don't do you anything. You're getting paid the same amount. A $1 double up, you're getting $2, right? Doesn't matter. So you're looking to optimize just based on the median. Just so you want to hit that. Your goal is to hit the 55th percentile. So build a lineup that maximizes for the 55th percentile. GPPs, you're trying to hit like the 99th percentile. You got to maximize for like everything. So there you care about leverage because the payout spots go up. The difference between first and fifth is big. The difference between fifth and 100th is big. Right? Double ups, they're not. Triple up, once you hit the line, everyone gets paid the same amount. So you don't get any extra for getting any more leverage. 2% owned guy in cash. Right? You don't get anything for extra for that. Well, I had OG Anunoby in cash. Okay, you cashed the same amount as I did. Right? I got 347 last night. Someone else could have gotten 352. Unless we were playing head-to-head, we both got paid the same amount. So who cares? Let's see. People are talking about defensive matchups, which I literally don't care anything about. Does Russ guard Kemba or like all these questions? Let me tell you a little secret. If you is a secret, individual defensive matchups. It's who's going to guard who, like this individual player. If you notice during a game, like they switch off, like individual defensive matchups in and of themselves don't mean that much as it is because they're not always defended by that player. If you take the projections and you wait for individual defensive matchups and you back test, like you export like what it should be, like, good matchup, bad matchup, and then you back test the actual results going back for years, the correlative effect of individual defensive matchups is virtually nothing. So take that with what you want. Zion is going to be guarded by Melo, right? Sounds logical, but if you take all those instances and you back test it for years, and you say, like, did it have an effect or did it not have an effect? It's a 50-50. It doesn't matter. It's not going to affect, like, from an accuracy perspective, it doesn't affect anything. So when you're in a spot, from a game theory perspective, if you're in a spot where a certain variable has no bearing, like you could flip a coin and it'll be just as accurate as, well, he's a good matchup or a bad matchup, you really shouldn't even be like, then it doesn't even matter at that point. If you're like, I want to play this guy because of it, it wouldn't matter if you did or you didn't. So that's the secret. So that's why I don't care about individual defensive matchups at all. Like literally at all. Don't care whatsoever. QQ, if people are playing Bertans at high ownership, do you like the leverage Wagner can give you? Or how about like Rui Hachimura? I think Troy Brown, Napier, one of those bench guys off the Bulls. I mean, they're going to come in lower owned. I could definitely see using one of them, right? I see one of the cheap guys from the Wizards doing well on enough on a 5-game slate that I probably want to have some exposure to someone. Okay, let's see. Wagner, perfect leverage, but it could be Mahinmi. Who knows? I'm more interested in the front court players, but it could be any of them. Let's see. Team defense outweighs positional defense. That would be correct. Okay. So if you back test for defensive efficiency by the team, that has an effect, and that's in our projections on RotoGrinders projections. Defensive and offensive efficiency as a team is weighted. Individual defensive matchups don't mean it, right? So figuring out who goes hurt, really, you can do it. It's just a waste of time. It's a coin flip. So that's why I don't bother with it. Anything that I could predict as accurately as a monkey throwing something against the wall makes no sense to even look at it. Do the dots on the screen show the defensive players? No. The dots? What are we talking about? The dots are premium tags. Meansy does core, like today. Meansy's doing core plays. Head Chopper's doing the cash pool, Squirrel Patrol, GPP pool, Stevie, salary relief. Like these are like our expert tags. If you're a premium member, you get it. Oh, the dots that I watch. Oh, Devin's telling me the dots. Oh, okay. They're making fun of me because I don't watch the dots. I know Dean says that I watch the dots. I don't even know there are dots. I watch the play-by-play. So I watch the text. Is the text better than the dots? I have no idea. Which do you think is better, the text or the dots? If you think the text is better, hit the thumbs up button. If you think the dots are better, hit the thumbs down button. Okay? I think I'm the only RotoGrinders host that like actively promotes the thumbs down button, but I'm just trying to trick you because the YouTube algorithm doesn't really care. It really doesn't, right? We should have one show, Devin, where a promotion that we get 200 dislikes, we take away something from premium members. I think that would be awesome. Like the freebie people on YouTube that watch on YouTube, like they're like, well, I don't want to pay $40 a month for RotoGrinders Premium. I'm going to dislike this video 200 times. So the grind down now only gets shown to free people and the premium people don't get it. Like something like that. That's probably not good for business, but I think it's a very funny joke. I think we could do that. Okay. Would you say fading pay-ups and GPPs is a good strategy? Well, I mean, getting leverage is always a strategy regardless. Let's see. A couple of more questions before we get out of here. Steve Sapel says, do you pay attention to cumulative ownership when building multiple lineups, or is it mostly player-specific ownership? You play lineups in these contests. You don't play players. So I pay attention to cumulative ownership, but it also depends on the player. Like you could have, like we built lineups, like I just built some, before that, like we have 246 cumulative ownership, 230. But I mean, you could have a whole chalk-filled, lineup, and like, look, Patty Mills 2%. So like, take a look at this lineup. Like, forget about all the other guys. If Patty Mills went off for 40 points at 2% ownership, you could have all the chalk in your lineup. So the cumulative ownership may actually be a very high number, but it's because it's like it's like 50, 50, 50, 52. So in that type of lineup, you can win a GPP as long as the 2% owned guy goes nuclear. So don't just take a raw cumulative number as like gospel, because there are lineups with sub 5% owned guys that you can play a higher cumulative ownership lineup and still have enough leverage. So like if I set like this lineup right here, if I set my max cumulative, exposure sum to 200, I wouldn't get this lineup. But this lineup definitely has enough leverage because Patty Mills 2% makes up for the other chalkier options in the lineup. If Patty Mills was 11%, then it wouldn't. But this is low enough that it would. Is that a good enough answer for you? Jeff Wong asks, hi, new player added to pool but puts by build by accident. You exclude. Okay. I talked to Nicole beforehand because I think you reached out to Nicole. It happens to me also, Jeff. Okay. Because you probably watched my lineup HQ video, which is available for premium members on my complete MMA build. So if you sign up for RotoGrinders Premium, you can get that. Most of the time, I build my pool by excluding everyone first, right? If you've seen that video, I exclude all, right? Because if I don't want to play the guy, I don't want to play. I got Jaylen Brown in 7 lineups. Well, if I don't want to play him, I don't play him. So like, I'll go in and like I'll add the players I want to play. So I'm just clicking on whatever. So let's say maybe my pool is only 22 players, right? And then I'm building lineups out of this. So I can't get anyone. I can't get the guys that I just don't want to play. Not interested in, not part of my strategy, don't want. Now, when a new player, like let's say someone gets ruled out, and then like, oh, we have to give Sterling Brown minutes. Like currently they're projected for 0 in our system. And then like all of a sudden they're getting 12 minutes. They're going to be added to lineup HQ. You can manually add these players, right? Add a player, right? All these players, like right here, Adam Makoka, right? He's projected for 0 minutes today, right? Admiral Schofield, right? These guys. But let's say, for instance, Satoransky gets ruled out. Okay. So maybe we end up giving 12 minutes to Makoka. So I could add him manually myself. But what will happen in lineup HQ is that our projections team, once they give him 12 minutes, he'll get added. But it'll get added to your included players. So what Jeff is saying, that you're like, I don't want to make builds without a Makoka, and they add them. There'll be this orange box that comes up, notifications when any new player is added. So this is what I'm telling you what I do. Because it's not, because if you're doing my type of thing where you exclude everyone and just include the players that you're playing, if you just had all the players, Makoka probably doesn't project enough that it would matter anyway. But if you only have 23 players in your pool, you may get 2 or 3 lineups without a Makoka in it that you don't want and you didn't even realize was in your player pool. So what I do is I look for those orange notifications up here that a guy has been added, projections have been updated, that type of thing. And when I see that, I just go and I make sure to just X them out. I mean, that's all I can do manually. So every time I make build, when I press build, like I look back and go, is there any news that will just add a player to my, and I'll see a notification. It's a recurrent notification that you should get in an orange box here. So that's what I do. So it's not a technical thing I don't think could be solved. Yes, I would rather it be in my excluded, but I mean, think of all the other people that don't do it that way. If you don't do it that way, so-and-so gets added to the player pool. Why isn't he there? Well, he's in excluded. Like, no, you have to include him manually. It's like, no, there's more people that do it that way than do it our way. Okay, so that's the best way to put it. Okay, I think we're about done. HQ needs to add a projections or salary threshold to build options. Okay, I mean, but you could kind of do that manually anyway. How do you get a job in DFS? I love doing, just be good. I make most of my income playing. Okay, just telling you the straight facts. Like what the stuff that I do here at RotoGrinders is that's the bonus money, right? For the most part, I'll make more playing. I make most of it playing. So that's, if you want to get a job in DFS, just be a good player, and don't be don't be good enough that you're playing for millions of dollars. And doing this stuff is probably not even worth it to do. But it's extra money for me, right? It's not like we get paid that much, right? We're independent contractors. I'm doing this show. I hopped on, rolled out of bed. My coffee is cold, right? Hit that thumbs up button to keep it warm. At least my coffee pot. Keep my coffee pot on by hitting the thumbs up button. So it's not like we're rolling it or anything. It's a nice little side recurring. I know I'm getting paid for it. In DFS, I could go to work in a day and lose money. So it's nice to have okay, do some stuff for RotoGrinders and stuff, and make sure that my bills are paid. So that's really what it is. I'm telling you the honest truth. Okay, I'm always transparent. Okay, I think we're good. I think we're good. Jason Rogers says, thank you for all the info and strategy advice. Yeah, that's because that's what we talk about on the 11 a.m. pregame show. Okay, it's a strategy show. take those strategies into account. So like when I showed you before about, the build rules and building 2+1s and 1+1s or whatever, maybe it's not Satoransky and Young. Maybe you're playing Kobe White. Maybe you're not playing Ish Smith. Maybe you're playing Shabazz Napier. Maybe it's another game. Maybe you're going to do something else and some other, like, you could do all of that. Like, I'm not saying to play these guys, but use these types of concepts. You're going to be like, oh, I want to play a 2-1 of Spurs OKC. I want to play Chris Paul with Aldridge and Murray. Okay. I'm showing you how to set it up in lineup HQ, how to build lineup, because this is how I would hand build. I would say, okay, let me put in Paul. Let me put in Paul in the point guard spot, Aldridge in the power forward spot, and Lonnie Walker in the shooting guard spot. And then go, okay, I need a small forward. Take Chandler Hutchinson on the Bulls. Who on the Wizards do I want to take on the other side? I put Rui Hachimura in my center spot. Put Satoransky in the guards. Like that's how I would hand build. So you're essentially teaching on every slate, like how you want to hand build your lineups. And then you make multiple. So instead of having to hand build on your phone or on your screen, like 50 lineups that you would do that anyway, you just put lineup HQ. You're just, you're telling the optimizer how to do it. It's dumb. It's only going to do what you tell it to do. So if you don't tell it anything, it's just going to build like a bunch of cash lineups that are probably not going to, they make cash in GPPs, but they ain't going to win you anything. Most probably. That's why you got to program. You got to tell it. You got to have a strategy. Devise a strategy. Learn, if you want to learn strategy, learn by hand building more. I hand built for like 2 years before I even touched an optimizer to learn how to build good GPP lineups. And once I hand built 5, hand built 10, then I'm like, okay, now I want to build more. Now I could learn how to do this. So I want to build those types of lineups exactly how I was a hand building and then have it do it for me. Blender, do you still play EPL? We used to play head-to-head, and you kept inviting me because you kept beating. I don't invite anyone. I don't use the invites on DK at all. In fact, I block most people. I block all people. Don't invite me to anything. Just a pain in the ass. Especially people are sending me invites for tennis. I don't play tennis. Whoever that guy is, stop doing. I already blocked him, so it doesn't matter. So don't do. No, I still play EPL. Yeah, I only play the main slates now. So you may not see me on a showdown or a 2-gamer or something like that. Because I'm only one person. I can only do so much. So something, soccer, there's less money in soccer than there is in NBA or MLB or NFL. So it becomes less of a priority to me. So I think that's to do it for today. Hopefully, who's on tomorrow? Is Tuttle on tomorrow? Is the person that's supposed to show up going to show up tomorrow? If not, I'll be back, right? So thanks for watching. I'm Jordan Cooper, aka Blenderhead, on the DFS pregame show on RotoGrinders.com.